This is finances are always a taboo topic, one that people don't want to talk about. This is often one of the main reasons why other relationships in person won't work. And so I am very sure that this is also a big contributor to making long distance relationships difficult as well. It's one of the more common reasons why they wouldn't work. And yeah, that's why I want to do a separate video in the future focusing on it. The current economic climate, the way the economic climate works, it feels like everything's always in a downturn. There's always a disaster. So at the moment, yeah, looking long term, it's definitely not the worst financial situation the world's ever had, nowhere close. But it's one of the more challenging ones of the last 20 years. And so most countries will have inflation, so the cost of everyday items are going up. And we also have fairly high fuel prices, and so that means things like airline tickets will be higher price. So these things can make it more difficult, and you should not try and take on more than you can manage financially. So the one thing we do to gain more money, is the most common at least, is we trade our time for money, and most people will do that at some form of job and workplace. So one way around this is that you delay what you're doing, or you extend the timeline a bit longer so that you can work a bit more and save a bit more. And I would always advise doing this rather than rushing something. And as you can probably see, this is another big challenge of long distance relationships, because we all want them to speed up when they're going well. And so this may be an extra test of your patience. You might have everything together, and then one of you who's got a financial overview says, look, we'll be so much better if we wait another, could be as much as a couple of years even. And I would always advise people that you have to strike a balance, but you want to be doing it from a financially good footing. If you're trying to rush it and cut corners financially, you might get into a situation where it's a battle in the future years.
Yeah, George. Financial is important also in a long distance relationship, because it will not happen, it will not work when one of you cannot travel. Like me, if I can travel there, if you can travel here, we cannot see each other.
That's right. And it's probably my duty here to say that, just speaking from facts, if it's a Western Eastern relationship similar to ours, then it is just the fact that it's more likely that the Westerner will be doing more of the traveling. It's more common that they have maybe more financial resources. It's not always the case, but yeah, and gaining a financial position to do this. I don't come from a wealthy family at all. I come from a family who probably earn less than the average in my country, England, United Kingdom. They earned, yeah, well under average, but they were fairly sensible with money. And yeah, it's incredibly important. And this is a case where you can just ask yourself, how much do you want it? If you're deciding to save money or invest time to visit someone, because some people might feel reluctant saying, oh, I don't want to spend 2 or 3 weeks of my holiday, it might not work. If you feel strongly enough about this relationship and it has a potential of working, then you need to lay your cards down and vote with your time and go with it. And that's a sign that you want it enough.
Yes. Sacrificing even your work. You are willing to like file a leave just to visit your partners. One of you will willing to relocate to be with your partner. Of course, one of you will decide where to live, if it's in the place of the guy or in the place of the girl. When you are in a long distance relationship, you have a time limit. Like, okay, this year I will be with you. Like, I will travel there to, like, for good. Or after 5 years, I will relocate and live in your country for good, like that. So it will work.
Yeah.
Even you're working abroad, even you're Filipino, you're seaman, you are OFW, you're working abroad, you have a time limit. Example, this is not only for foreigners, this is for seamen who are working abroad. You have a time limit that, okay, this 10 years I will work, or 5 years, and then I will stop because no more LDR. That, okay, this is the time that we will be together. That's what I mean, a time limit. Like me, if I will just stay here in Philippines, I will not travel to you. We will be in a long distance forever, and it's difficult.
I think the key point here is that whoever is doing the permanent relocation, maybe you're really happy and glad to do it, but that will always be the biggest sacrifice of the whole thing, in my opinion. I have a small experience of doing that when I moved from England to Norway to work. I had the advantage of I had nothing really to lose, because if I didn't like Norway and my job, I could just stop. Whereas in a relationship, particularly if you're married, it's a bigger commitment, and that overshadows going to visit or maybe getting married in the other country. They're smaller sacrifices, but the whole experience, of course, you shouldn't be thinking this way, like the relationship is far bigger, but afterwards, if it wasn't a success, you will also realize that I've grown as a person. You do with any relationship you have, you grow and you learn, but you've also if you've done the traveling, you've traveled to a new country, and the culture may be really different, and so there's huge benefits to that as well. And I think we've covered some good areas of this topic, and now's probably a good time for us to conclude. And I think we've covered the key points, and we can answer some further questions if they come as well. The simple answer is yes, it is more difficult than a normal relationship. The follow on to that is that doesn't mean it can't be done. It really tests your ability to check out that other person's attitude, and finding someone with both the positive can do attitude towards it, and also I think you need some touch of maturity to understand how difficult this is. I mean, take an extreme example. Let's take two 12-year-olds that are in love at school, as they call it. Imagine those two. As you'll know, that type of relationship rarely works because you change so much as you get older. Imagine those two trying to do that in a long distance relationship. It becomes close to impossible. And so some people mature at different ages. You can get very mature 18-year-olds, but it's your duty really in a long distance relationship to really dig into, is this other person, do they have a maturity level to understand what we're starting? Do they understand that the world's not rainbows and roses? I know I've got that quote wrong, but you know what I mean. And then once you've got that attitude, sort of you've got this message that attitude is good, then you maintain it and you work together, and that overall goal of what you're doing eventually is to close that distance. And I'm just going to wish everyone here the best of luck, and my closing message is a positive one, in that you can do it. And what about you, Rose? Anything to add?
Yeah, like openness also, like open to each other. Actually, we tackle
Yeah.
all, like
Mm-hmm.
respecting, trusting, like trust each other, patience, and of course sacrificing. All of that are important. Positivity,
Mm.
you
Yeah,
said.
it stresses all the main factors that create a good relationship in any situation, and I'm going to add in empathy and humility
Yeah.
as well. You need to understand relationships are never perfectly smooth, and if you try and do one in a long distance, you need to get used to laughing at yourself when you do silly things, and also having a lot of understanding for the other person who's also muddling through the situation themselves.
Yes, understanding, consideration also, like sometimes if you're busy, I'm busy, or the signal, I'm in the province. So we will consider that, and then we should be aware also, like even we're not chatting every minute, every day. I mean every hour. But of course, we have good morning greetings before going to sleep. We should aware also that there's someone thinking of us, but not 24 hours. We will just chat and call because you have time for yourself. I have time for myself. Like, yeah, we are in a relationship, but we both have time for each other. And we have time also for our work, for our passion. So the mindset is very important. And your attitude, your behavior. Like me, if I'm always thinking about you like crazy, like, where is George? Why George is not chatting? Okay.
You need to have
Post.
an element. You need to have an element of faith in the other person, particularly if you know them. You know they're busy. They have a lot on. You need to have an element of faith. Otherwise, you're you're burning mental energy. You're micromanaging 24/7, and that's a difficult assignment if you're getting paid full time to do it. Imagine doing that for free, just because. Again, it comes back to maybe a lack of trust and faith in the person. It's unsustainable. I have yet to meet someone who can do things like that and sustain it a lifetime and think that's a good use of energy. Most humans, we're lazy creatures by nature. That's a waste of energy. You can replace it if, it's always a big if, there is that trust between you.
Yes, that's why positivity also is very important. You always think that your partner is okay. You can feel it. You have an instinct. You have a gut that you can feel if there's something wrong. But don't worry so much because it can affect your mental health.
Absolutely, yeah. And the openness point that Rose made earlier, naturally you're going to be a bit more guarded when you start, and then you gradually open up over time. But that is also very important because almost everyone will want to get to a stage where they can be 100% open or very, very close with their partner. And if you find there's some resistance between you two doing that, you need to be brave enough to address that. You may be scared to do so. It may be even a sensitive topic. We haven't talked about this topic. And you may be scared to do so because they might not like you for raising the topic. But unless you're doing it incredibly early in the conversation, you will almost always find, especially if your relationship is going to work in the future, that this person will be very grateful you've brought the topic up, and your relationship surges forward a couple of levels just by doing that. So I think that's my last little message, that those little things, I think, again, are going to be slightly easier when you're in person and easier to avoid when you're long distance. So don't be afraid to do that.
Thank you for all of that message, George. I mean, that advice and tips, it can help. Like, that's true. And yeah, that is true. That is important.
And not everyone will resonate with everything I've said, but if there's just one thing that you pick up and you think, okay, I haven't considered that, or that's an okay idea, then I'm happy.
Yeah. Actually, appreciate your partner, even it's long distance. I mean, even you're far, to show your affection, your appreciation to someone, even in video call.
Yeah,
And
that's yeah,
you did it.
yeah, it's such a
You did.
simple thing. Like, it's such a simple thing, but it's very easy to forget to do so. So good point.
Yeah. Just maintain the caring and respect. That is very important.
I'm going to thank Rose for having this as a video idea, because she's the boss. She's the one who runs the channel, and she received these messages, and she mentioned the idea of doing this type of video. So yeah, I think it's worked well today. So thank you very much for making this happen.
Yeah. Even my English right now. I'm
Don't
not
worry.
really.
Don't worry. Thank
So,
you for having me, and I think we'll sign off now.
yeah. Thank you for watching our YouTube channel. Yeah, we will upload consistently.
This is living proof that the long distance relationship, there's a lot of things going on, and while we love doing these type of YouTube videos, it's not always the number one thing on our list. And we can be organized people, but this process can create chaos in the most organized of couples. And so you can be rest assured there's some more content coming soon, and it should be quite exciting as well. So feel free to interact in the comments. We can answer any further questions. Drop a like if you enjoyed any of content. And I'm actually going to say, if you've got this far, comment with, we should have a specific word. Like if you've got this far, you should write a word in the comments. Then we can see if anyone's watched to the end. Have you got a good word that we could use, Rose? Maybe masbate. Yeah. So if you've got this far to the end of the video, you can comment whatever you like, but drop the word masbate in one of the comments, and it'll be interesting to see if anyone has.
Yes. Actually, I mentioned consistently. That's also important in a long distance. 3C, communication, consistency, and
Chemistry.
what's the chemistry, connection.
Okay, yeah, I think we've got them all now.
Consistency and connection. You can feel when there is a connection. There's a compatibility, there's a chemistry if there is a if there is a connection. If you connect each other, especially your values, same mindset.
Okay, everyone, thank you for watching. Be sure to tune in next time.
Thank you. Bye bye and God bless.